Hi, this is Cary Artac with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your Wicked Market Leaders for the week of Monday, July 6, 2026. We start with Microsoft. In fact, this is the list of all the stocks I'll be walking you through. I try to keep it under 20 minutes, a couple of minutes for each, I suppose. Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, Amazon, Taiwan Semiconductor, Intel, Broadcom, AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, and Palantir. Those are covered thoroughly in this video. This is broad brushstroke, really 3 to 5 week swing trade, 2 to 3 month kind of time horizons. We start with Microsoft, where we've got a sell signal from a month ago when we collapsed, settled back below this channel bottom and the low of the high. 414.40 to 414.46 is our ceiling, below which we can fall back, continue south, not only into the mid 340s, upper 340s, this low area, but I'm expecting still lower activity. This 314.22 descending channel bottom is a 2 to 3 month or sooner target if we were to close this week below 344.79 within a week or two. 314.22 able to contain selling through August. We can round up to back into the mid upper 340s from here and even higher. There is a channel top. This trend line is now in the 440s and dropping that I think would be in reach within 2 or 3 months of testing 314.22. If we do close back above 414.46, and that's also the low of the high of 414.40, we have only, I would call, a 3 to 5 week or sooner buy signal of 463.51. This is a meaningful pivot point upside through the rest of the year. If we can get up and over 463.51 in the coming month or two, we've got a good low for the year. Until then, this is an area that you can target with a settlement above 414.46 and exit any long positions and even play the short side as we continue into Q3. So 414 handle, still a significant pivot point, bottom line below which anticipating 314.22 over the next 2 or 3 months. Let's move on to Meta. Meta also in a sell signal, although last week's activity, the recovery, closing above the high of the low, that is a stabilizer. I don't see this stock turning up as we move through the rest of July or into later July anyway, unless we can close above 607.73. This descending channel top can contain weekly highs, and below which I do think possibly by the end of July, over the next 3 to 5 weeks, this 496.75 longer-term channel bottom in play and able to contain selling through the rest of the year. This is a long-term structure that spans, well, it'll be 4 years in October. So this is a long-term structure, trend-defining support, able to contain annual lows in reach over the next 3 to 5 weeks, perhaps, holding below 607.73. If we close above 607.73, I only see a 1 to 2 week buy signal to 666.07. This is a more meaningful structure, can contain buying through July into August, and we can fall away from here. If we can close above 666.07, good low for the year, within 2 to 3 months, a retest of the 796.25 high that was put out back in August of last year. And really, I think 3 to 5 months, I don't know, 6 to 9 months, something like that, as we spill through the rest of the year and into the first quarter of 27. This 914.61, I think, in play if we close above 666.07. So investment grade buy signal with a settlement above 66.07. Until then, we are likely to continue south to 496.75, holding below 607.73. On to Alphabet. Alphabet closed at basically this descending channel top. This is an upward pivot point into later July, 352.05. Now, we closed at 59.91, but it's pretty much right there on this structure. If we open at 52.05 or lower, we can continue south into later week, potentially reaching 316.79. I will say that a weekly settlement below 352.05 will keep 316.79 in reach over the next couple of weeks, where we could bottom out not only through August, but even through the entire third quarter and round up. This is a meaningful channel bottom that goes back to November of 25, not quite a year in the making, but long enough where we could bottom out here for a month or even a quarter and round up again. We would certainly have a significant sell signal if we close below 316.79. I would expect the 240s, this channel top, within a couple of months of doing so, but we're a long shot from that. In fact, 352.05, if we open above it on Monday, it is an immediate support for the week. 381.77 in reach this week. That is the low of the high. And if we do close this week above 352.05 on Friday, not only 381.77 in reach over the next week or two, but I think this could be the beginning of another significant upward rotation that just might yield this 445.57 rising channel top over the next couple, 2-3 months. So closing above 352.05, I see no compelling reason to be short Alphabet. You want to be long Alphabet to at least 381.77. And yes, I think the 440s and climbing in reach over the next 2 or 3 months. Let's move on to Amazon. Amazon tested this former channel bottom 246.30 this week, pushed through it a bit, but backed away. It is our ceiling still and can contain buying pressures through the month of July, below which this 213.44 still in reach over the next 3 to 5 weeks, perhaps. I have this horizontal line here. That is the low settlement price from a couple of weeks ago on the weekly chart, 232.69. You can see inside the yellow box. If we close this week, Friday, below 232.69, back on its heels over the next week or two, expecting 213.44. That is descending by the end of August to this much more significant longer-term channel bottom. That'll be around 201.50 the final week of August. This zone is an area to buy into, not only covering short positions, but also going long Amazon through the rest of the year. In upside, closing above 246.30 this week is a stabilizer, but it's not a significant buy signal. I reserve that for a settlement above 258.31, which still is a 5/8 upside Fibonacci from that May high against the low a couple of weeks ago. It correlates well with this high going back to November of 25, can contain buying through the rest of July. We could even fall away from here, but I will say in terms of upward continuation into the month of July, that is a settlement above 258.31. Within a month or two, I would expect this long-term channel top at 293.30 and climbing, where we actually could top out for the rest of the year. So bullish through July and into August with a settlement above 258.31. Until then, we remain bearish below 246.30 over the same time horizon, anticipating this narrowing zone between 196.87 and 213.44, where one could initiate a long position that plays out through the rest of the year. Taiwan Semiconductor. This is one wild stock. We've got a channel structure, basically a band of support. I throw 435.42 out there as a level you could trade. There's a couple ways to kind of frame this. Excuse me. I do see upward momentum off of that March low fully intact above 418.49. We could test that this week. If we open Monday below 435.42, I do see 418.49 in reach, possibly on Monday itself. 418.49, a base of support, able to contain selling through the rest of July, above which, or once tested, we can round up. I'll show you the next chart. We can round up to this 506 and 10 and climbing channel top. We haven't tested it yet, but it is there. We're probably 2 to 3 weeks away from reaching 506.10, so long as we continue holding above 418.49. That 506.10 level able to contain monthly buying pressures, and we could fall back to channel support in the 410s, 420s, 430s within 2 to 3 weeks of doing so. Also, if we close this week Friday below 418.49, we have, well, with present volatility, this is like a 1 week sell signal only. We'll call it a 1 to 2 week sell signal down to 377.93. This structure, you can take it back to the April 25 low. So it's a 1 year channel bottom, able to contain selling through the third quarter. From here, we can round up to new highs. So if you're looking for a solid area to buy TSM on weakness over the next month or two, I think that is reserved for 377.93 and climbing, able to contain selling through the rest of the year, really, and we can round up. We would have a big sell signal, significant if we were to close below 377.93 in the coming weeks. We're just a long way from that. In fact, once again, holding above 418.49 will keep the 500 region and climbing in reach over the next, 2 or 3 weeks, as I've already said. On to Intel. Intel tested this long-term wave count I've been pointing out now for weeks. That is basically taking the 2000 high, subtracting from that pullback low of 2008, and then adding that distance back to the 2,000 high, and you've got 139.57. It's been holding beautifully. We've even fallen away significantly from it. This is a monthly chart, not a weekly chart. This goes back over 30 years. We've got 88.52 is this 30-year channel top. That is we could see us playing or trading inside of this zone now for the rest of the year. Perhaps it is, after all, a monthly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. There's your 139.57, that long-term wave count that we've topped out at, and 105.26 is your base of support. I think this is trend support as we move through the month of July and into August. Bottom picking territory. If given the opportunity to buy it, we can round back up to 139.57 or even higher perhaps as we continue into August, September trade. Closing below 105.26 does signal that 88.52 formation, where is that? 105, blah, blah, somewhere in here. If we close below here, we're looking for this within a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, a full month, 2 or 3 weeks, probably. 88.52, a base of long-term support, can contain selling through the rest of the year. I don't expect to see this clearly unless we happen to close below this 105.26 formation. And if you're more of a 3 to 5 day swing trader with Intel, there is this descending channel top that I mentioned can contain weekly selling pressures. We could rebound back to 139.57 from here, but if we close below 116.47, expect to test this week of that 105.26 channel bottom I've already shown. Upside, closing above 139.57 signals 167.17 within 2 to 3 weeks or less. That is A minus B plus A, the full swing. And then we're in uncharted territory, and we'll just see where the charts have to say from there. Broadcom. Okay, Broadcom, if you recall, settled in a sell signal a couple of weeks ago below the low of the high of 385.59. So I want to get that out of the way. We are anticipating still this 335.45 rising channel bottom. You could say it stems all the way back to Dec of 24. So about a year and a half in the making. Can absorb selling through July and even through the rest of the year. And from here we can round up. Yes, we'd have a big sell signal if we close below 335.45. No compelling reason to stay long Broadcom as we move into August, September with a settlement below 335.45. I would expect at least this 251.88 level within a matter of a month or two. Could be within 3 to 5 weeks. Until then, bottom picking territory, 335.45, able to contain selling through Q3, even the rest of the year. Upside, if we can close above 385.59, we could be within 3 to 5 days test this newly formed descending channel top. I see this as a meaningful upward pivot point through July and into August. If we close above 405.37, I see 446.77 pretty quickly within a week or two. But really, I think this is the upward pivot point as we continue into August, September. Closing above 405.37 is a go long strategy, no longer anticipating 335.45. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. So we've got the steeply rising channel bottom that has roughly contained selling pressures last week. We came off of it a bit. It is at 522.60. If we have an unchanged open on Monday, 517.82, we open below it, obviously, it becomes an immediate ceiling for the week where holding below 522.60, we should test this 475.52. Now, this simple structure may well contain selling through all of July, and from here we can round up to new highs. This I see as our pivot point through July. If we close this week below 475.52, we basically have a triple sell signal below not only the steeply rising channel bottom, but also below the low of the high that was put out last week at 495.35. So closing below 475.52 does set up for 349.22 within present volatility, 3 to 5 weeks. Until then, this is bottom picking territory at 475.52. Upside, what do I have? If we can hold this area and continue higher, 666.28 is attainable over the next 3 to 5 weeks. If we can close this week above 546.44. That is the significant high. That was a key reversal high at the time. We've punctured through it a bit over the last few weeks. We've yet to close above it on a weekly basis. And if we do, 666.28 likely within just a few weeks where we can top out on a monthly basis. So as far as AMD is concerned, 475.52 is the formation that stands out among all of them as a pivot point through July, above which new highs, below which 349.22 within 3 to 5 weeks. And finally, Palantir. Palantir closed back above this horizontal channel bottom after closing below it the preceding week and just above the high of the low. I'm taking this as a sign of strength now. There's a head fake, obviously. The failure to follow through on this classic sell signal, a sign of strength unto itself. I'm expecting now above this 128.87, 124.37 region. That is right. Yes, the high of the low is 128.87. This band of resistance, this 158.47 to 170.94 area is one that can contain buying. If we happen to test it by the end of July through August into September and fall away, if we can close above 170.94, we have a good low for the rest of the year. I don't even have a target mapped out yet, but I would get busy with that if we were to reach into this zone here over the next 3 to 5 weeks, and I do expect that. Unless we happen to close back below 124.37 on Friday, selling pressures can build once again, yielding 94.11 within 2 or 3 weeks. This formation able to contain selling into August. We can round up into the mid 120s from here, and it continues south. You know, by early November, it correlates with this low to upper 60s. So we'll just kind of see that, play that as it is. If we were to close below 94.11, we've got another 3 to 5 week sell signal into the low to mid 60s. But closing below 124.37, 94.11 likely within 2 or 3 weeks. Holding above 128.87 will keep the 158.47 to 170.94 region as a 3 to 5 week objective. I'm going to leave it at that. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. I will be back, of course, next week with yet another edition of the Wicked Market Leaders. You have a great week.